Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining me on my mission to learn about girls lacrosse. So here we are. Today I want to talk about free movement, and it's an interesting concept, one that I was not familiar with until really this season. I didn't realize there was a name for it because in all other sports it just kind of happens. But in girls lacrosse, up until 2020 season in the youth and high school ranks, you were not allowed to move when the whistle blew or the ball went out of bounds. That was the rule. You would have to stop in place. I don't know how all you coaches did this, how you kept young girls in line from not moving around. That's crazy to me. I don't know how you players did this, having to stop still in place. I don't know how the officials were able to figure this out, where girls were, up, you move 2 feet, back up. It's a crazy concept to me, this idea of free movement, that it's not in the game, but now it is. So kudos to all of you that dealt with it before now, but it has been introduced. It is a new rule for the 2020 season for youth and high school levels. Why did they do it? Well, according to the rules webinar, which is a really good thing, I highly recommend checking that out. I'll make a link to it here. The rule was put in to make it a less restrictive experience for the players, but also to focus in on this idea of pace of play. This is such a buzzword, really, in all sports right now, is pace of play. Let the athletes be athletes. Let them run off ball, get into open spots, make the defense cover them. What I did learn when doing a little bit of research is this has been in effect in college since 2018. This rule is not a new rule for the girls lacrosse game in general, but it's been in play since 2018 in the college game. And I tried to look up a bunch of articles just to see if anything existed out there on the impact of the girls game in college with this free movement rule, and I couldn't find anything. I'm going to guess most people are in favor of it because it allows, again, the athletes to be athletes, not be stuck in certain spots. One thing I found really interesting with this pace of play idea is substitutions. So substitutions are always going to substitute through the box. That makes sense from a boys lacrosse perspective. But you are not allowed to substitute when the ref's hands are on the stick for a draw, if it is a redraw, or if you're the injured, or if there's an injury timeout. Now, if you're the injured player, you can obviously sub out. But those are the only times that substitutions are not allowed. Hands on the stick, redraw, hands on the stick for a draw, redraw, or injury timeout. Now, in other scenarios where there is a timeout on the field, or let's say there's a penalty that happened. There's a penalty that happened. One player did something, the other player called a penalty, and the team calls a timeout. Every player on the field is allowed to substitute except for the player that had the foul called against them and the player that was receiving the foul. So the player with the ball, essentially, and the player with the foul against them. That's wild. Everyone else gets a sub except for those two players. So that's kind of that mix of the old rules and the new rules, blending the free movement, blending with the spirit of the game that was there before. So that's pretty much it for free movement. I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of interesting things that coaches are going to try to do now because of free movement, set some things up off ball. I mean, we did it in boys games all the time. Again, kudos to all you coaches that were able to deal with girls running all over the place and trying to get them to stop somehow. Thanks for joining us this week. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what I'm missing out on. Tell me about free movement. I don't really know much about it. Tell me what your feelings are, what the impact's going to be on the game. Looking forward to seeing it here very soon.